We're going to talk about the heart-lung bill with Lance Abrook. Would you explain that to me, Lance?
Linda, there's a law in Florida that applies to firefighters, police officers, and correctional officers. It's referred to as a heart-lung bill. It's Florida Statute 112. And what it's designed to do is protect those individuals when they are diagnosed with a heart or lung condition while employed with any of those agencies. So if a firefighter is diagnosed with tuberculosis, or he's diagnosed with a heart condition such as hypertension or some other heart condition, the law presumes that the condition was caused by the employment.
Like lung cancer too?
No, not lung cancer. It would be tuberculosis or some other type of pulmonary condition.
That the smoke could have possibly,
yes,
yeah.
Correct.
And so when people go to work and they begin in these types of fields of endeavor, they have some sort of an examination to determine their...
That's a good point. Linda, the statute, the law requires that in order for it to apply to an individual, there must be a pre-employment physical to document that you don't have the condition when you start with that agency. So it's very important for our police officers, firefighters, and correctional officers to get a pre-employment physical. And that way they can go to a doctor, get the physical, and it's documented that they don't have a heart condition, hypertension, which is high blood pressure, or some other disease that's covered. If they don't get that physical, then the presumption would not apply to them. So
do they know that ahead of time? Is this physical typically required when they...
Some agencies do require a pre-employment physical, some agencies don't. So it's important to get that physical.
And get a baseline idea of how healthy you are initially, and then if something should happen, they can compare the current with the past.
Correct. Linda, let me explain the basics of the law. The law essentially says that if you are diagnosed with one of the conditions outlined, tuberculosis, heart condition, high blood pressure, then the condition is presumed to be caused by your employment. It's not an irrebuttable presumption. The agency can rebut it with other evidence. One of the other evidences that they can use to rebut it is if you're a smoker. If you are diagnosed with a lung condition and you've been smoking for 20, 30 years, typically a doctor is going to give an opinion that it is caused by the smoking versus the job. So it's important for people not to smoke, obviously, if they are in that type of position, because the law would not afford them the protection if they are in fact a smoker. A doctor is clearly going to place blame on smoking versus the job when it comes to a heart condition or a lung condition.
So somebody who's a 22-year-old firefighter and just starting, even though they've been smoking, they can get their physical and your lungs can look pretty clean at that point. 20 years down the road, it's a different story, but they would apply it to the smoking or other lifestyle situations.
It's typically, doctors typically identify with smoking because all physicians just hate smoking smokers. So it's just not a good thing to do if you're in that type of position. Well, you're not going to have the law in your favor if you are a smoker and you're diagnosed with one of those conditions under the statute.
So this is specific only to those three categories of employment, which were again, please?
It applies to police officers, it applies to firefighters, and it applies to correctional officers.
Okay, good information. Thank you, Lance.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back.